go, baby.
Let's go, everybody. We are back. What's cooking with the McLemore Boys? Today is pretty special. You know why, Pawpaw?
I have no idea.
So, Pawpaw, first off, probably doesn't know where he is, but I'm just kidding. You are our first official guest on What's Cooking with the McLemore Boys.
Well, I'm glad you asked, but I just don't know what I'm doing here.
So, Pawpaw, quick question. Do you know what a podcast is?
I have no idea. I've certainly never done one, so I don't have really any idea what it is.
And when we were sitting you down, you said, I've actually never talked on camera or into a microphone before.
I've never had a microphone in front of me before.
Well, you sound great.
Sound like you got a radio voice.
So, guys, we're really excited. This is episode 2, guest 1 of What's Cooking with the McLemore Boys. We have our first ever guest, the Ole Man, spelled and pronounced properly, OLE', the original McLemore Boy to the podcast. Papa, are you excited?
Yeah, slightly.
Slightly? Are you nervous?
Slightly confused?
Well, I was thinking about how you come up with that.
Yeah.
You know.
Okay. So,
with the name or the podcast?
Well,
or?
no, the name.
What's Cooking with the
You
McLemore
want to tell
Boys?
him? You want me to tell?
No, the old man.
Oh, the Ole Man.
How that
All right.
originated.
Okay.
So that'll be our first little story.
Yep.
And in honoring of you coming on our podcast, this is actually your shirt. And when it was made, it was spelled OLDE. I actually spell it OLE. So here's to the number one Ole Man. To set this up, my dad, John Dawson McLemore, my hero, my friend, my business partner, granddad to my grandkids, everything that a man could want to have in his life, this guy right here exemplifies everything that somebody could ever want. So thank you, number one.
Yeah.
And when I was 8 years old, I started in the backyard working with this guy. And as the company grew, and we'll go back and forth on lots of stories, so we're not going to timestamp anything, but just to kind of set up the name Ole Man. For years, while we were doing business together, even at 8 years old, I was calling him Diddy. So
Diddy?
Daddy. You know, like Diddy. Not like P.
Oh, my Lord.
Okay, Diddy. But I just called him Daddy. So it just seemed a little odd, and I didn't ever want to disrespect my dad and say, hey, Dawson or John. So I just came up with this term. I was like, I'm gonna call you Ole Man. He said, I'm not old. I was like, not old, not O-L-D, O-L-E. So probably from the time that I was maybe 11 or 12 years old until today, from that moment forward, I always called you Ole Man. And it stuck. We've written that in our cookbook, in our stories. I've told it 1,000 times. So that's really what I call him. But as I said, starting this thing out, I've had an amazing life. And the importance of families having the stability of a dad, a father, a mentor in their lives is more important than people really put the value on it. So for me, we've been together. Obviously, I'm sad to say almost 61. He's fixing to turn 89.
Right.
Okay. Happy birthday, by the way.
Oh,
Man,
thank
you
you.
taking stuff out of my list of things to say.
Man, I told you I'm just going to roll through these things. So for us, as we kind of start into these stories, that's just one thing for me. The success I've had in my life through everything we're going to be talking about is definitely because of what you've allowed us to do, afforded us to do, the stability within our family, being my business partner for 52 years of my life. And I'd say you're still a business partner with us, even though, you know, you've been retired for 78 years, maybe. Long time. But we're going to really kind of roll into the stories here and let John.
Yeah.
Because he's actually our co-host today.
Yeah, I did a poor job of opening this.
I'm not the host. This guy's the host of our show. So John's going to kind of just lead into some questions for you. And, oh, man, this podcast, 2 episodes, is all about you.
Yep.
John and I are along for the ride.
I'm going to reopen this. What's Cooking with the McLemore Boys? Your host, John McLemore II. We've got our co-host, John McLemore Sr., and our special guest, the original McLemore Boy, the Ole Man. I call him Pawpaw. So if you're watching, you see us here. If you're listening to us on audio, if you hear me say Pawpaw, I'm referring to you, Ole Man. But the original McLemore Boy, the GOAT of Masterbuilt. Dad, I am going to ask you to take your shirt off.
Oh.
Because that shirt is awful on camera.
This shirt is awful on camera?
Yeah, the brown, terrible.
Do you know how involved it's going to be for me to take this thing off on camera? Do you have some scissors?
So while he is...
Am I taking it off?
You don't have to, but it looks bad on camera.
Okay, I'll take it off. Y'all keep talking.
I didn't say anything because you said you were going to take it off. Okay. So segment 1, What's Cooking? Guys, we're really excited to have Pawpaw, the Ole Man, the original McLemore Boy, on the podcast. We're going to be telling some stories. We're going to be talking about the origination of Masterbuilt, how we got started. Masterbuilt back in the 70s to the 80s, selling the business, the ideas and products and where we came from. This is going to be a 2-part series. There's just too much to talk about. We're probably going to have Pawpaw on several times probably throughout this year.
Right.
Because there's just so many stories. We were sitting down and I was like, y'all got to stop talking. These are great stories. We got to get rolling. So this is going to be a 2-part series because I just feel like we want to talk about the Masterbuilt story, and there's going to be some other stories that we want to get into in part 2. It's going to be more laid back. So we're going to go into segment 2, Who's at the Table? We've got the Ole Man. I'm going to kick this off with happy 89th birthday.
Yep. Happy birthday.
How does it feel? Do you feel 89?
I haven't felt anything for the last 20 years. I feel great.
I asked Pawpaw one time, I said, he asked me to fill up his cup, and he said, my flask is, right front left quarter panel at the car. Go. I said, how much fill it up? And he said, it's 4 glug-glugs. We'll tell that story later. So I go and fill it up, and I say, Pawpaw, when's the last time you've been drunk? He's like, last time I was sober was like 1984.
Oh, wow. You are going there. You heard the guy that said, he asked the guy one day, he said, you been a drunk all your life? And the guy goes, not yet.
Just most of it.
So, Pawpaw, I wanted to start with, I don't know that we've ever really had a direct conversation. We always tell stories. We always, joke about the story of Masterbuilt and Meemaw and the 5 kids and walking up the hill in the snow to school and back.
Barefooted.
And, you paid them $1 a week and all those things. We've never really directly told the story from your mouth to us. Like, we've never actually sat down, the 3 of us. So what you have here is 3 generations of Masterbuilt, of the McLemore family. So Pawpaw is the founder of Masterbuilt, dating back to 1973. Dad was part owner when you were 18 in 84.
Good job.
And then later on bought the business in 98. Bought it from Uncle Don in 2012. We're going to go through all these dates. And then I came on board the day I graduated high school, day after I graduated high school. So we've got 3 generations of McLemores here. We've got a 4th sitting right back there in little JD. You can't see them; they're off camera. We got the McLemore Boys team. We got the lovely Cynthia here supporting Pawpaw. So we're gonna jump into this. So you founded Masterbuilt in 1973, but it was not called Masterbuilt, correct?
No, it was called M&M Welding.
So I want to take a couple of steps before that real quick. Tell us about Goodyear Tire Rubber, and you were working full-time there. You had 5 kids, and you started building stuff in the backyard. Just take us from there and tell us the idea of M&M Welding and how did Masterbuilt come to be?
Well, it all started, and I worked with Goodyear Tire and Rubber Company for 10 years, and then all of a sudden just two friends of mine taught me how to weld, and that was when I was a store manager in Bainbridge. So eventually I was transferred to Columbus as a territorial sales manager with Goodyear, and between me and the boys, we got in the backyard and built a little 20 by 30 shed and set up a welder back there and did a little welding. And one thing just led to the other. As far as what we built, we actually built trailers to start with.
Yeah.
Was the first 3 or 4 things that we built, and they sold. And then, I don't know, for some reason or other, I was in a nursery, and I saw a stand, and I asked the lady, I said, y'all sell a good many of those? And she said, yeah. She said, people buying to put these hanging baskets in after they bring it back into the house, it gets cold. So I think, well, I could build one of those. And I went and got some metal, and between me and the boys, we kind of turned some curlicues on it, and we made, I think I saw a stand.
Yeah, right over there.
Yeah. So
Burns.
It's kind of crazy how this came about, but when I saw what was in the store, I think, I could build something a whole lot stouter than that.
Yeah.
And so I bought the metal, and I twisted these curls in the end of it to give it some feature. And I got home, and I had to build a jig to go with it. As I built the stand, I built the jig. So it took all day long just about to do it. And by the time that we made the jig and the stand, took all day. Then the next one took 5 minutes to build.
Yeah.
So you didn't have to build the jig. But
So you built that fern stand was technically the first Masterbuilt product.
yes, I first thing put us on the map for is having something to really
Yeah.
sell.
So you were working as a sales manager for Goodyear Tire Rubber. You started building these because you thought you could build something a little better. Meemaw, I think, wanted one, right?
Yeah.
And then didn't you put those on the back of your truck?
I put them in the back of that company car. Little thing.
Put him in the back seat of his
Yeah.
company sedan.
I'd work for Goodyear all day long, and then on the way home from out of town, I'd stop in different places and show it, and people seemed to like it. So on the weekends, us boys would build some of them and whatnot, and I'd take them and deliver them on the weekend. But to tell you how I built this thing to start with, I drew it off on a piece of paper, and actually the legs didn't come together to the middle. They actually came together and welded it in here. And I was laying in bed that night thinking about it, and I got up, went out and turned the lights on in the shop, and took a saw and sawed the legs apart and spreaded them back out, and there was a piece of pipe laying there on the ground, I remember. Now, I took a piece of this 3/16 by half and twisted it around that pipe and cut it off and crammed it down in there and welded the pipe, welded the ring in the center of it.
Yeah.
And then it gave it a little bit more character. And the thing is actually reversible. You can turn it upside down and, flip it over. It's 8-inch on one end that held a certain size part, and turn it over and the 10 on the bottom. So it became something kind of universal for us holding a lot of different products.
Right. Well, that is a 32810 model
That
number.
was the number on it, yeah.
32 inches tall, 8-inch circle on the bottom, on the top, 10-inch circle on the bottom, reversible. Do you remember making the commode?
Yeah,
Because you know what
I
I
remember.
think people are going to think
Commode?
a commode is, right?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I was driving down I-10 headed to Jacksonville, Florida. I can tell you exactly where. And I got to think about it, and I was driving home. It's late at night, and I think if you could take a 10-inch and a 12 at the bottom, and then you could flip it upside down. And anyway, I got tired, and I drove into a truck stop and then got some coffee and kind of keep myself awake. And I drew it off on a napkin and stuck it in my shirt pocket. And the reason that John calls it a commode is because it looked like something that you sit on.
It was 18 inches tall.
Yeah.
And it would hold heavier, really big ferns because it was stouter and shorter.
Yeah.
But you could take it to deer camp, put a 5-gallon bucket underneath it, and it served multiple purposes. I've got two really quick stories that just hit me while we're talking about it. I mentioned earlier that this guy's my hero for lots of reasons, helping me through my career, family, business, everything. But I specifically remember walking home. I was in the 3rd grade. I was 8 years old, walked home from Bellwood Elementary School, and you had taken a half a day off, and you were in the backyard working when I got home, and he is bending steel with his bare hands. Now, mind you, it's thin steel, but to me, I'm thinking, this guy's bending steel with his bare hands, which kind of made you Superman to me.
That ain't thin. I mean, it looks thin on camera, but
But it was just kind of amazing to me that you had made this little jig to spin these things on, and it just always set well with me that if this guy can do this, man, we can do anything.
yeah. So you made a fern stand, and this is roughly 1973.
Yeah, right at, yeah, about a little bit before.
Was
But,
there? I got a quick question.
73.
I've never asked this question. Is there a specific date, or is it just because I've always heard this theory that it was at 72 or 73?
Well, Goodyear transferred me to Columbus to take over a huge territory as a territorial sales manager. So that was in 72 is when that happened. And then sometime during that year, we had gotten into motorcycle riding, and we needed something to put the bikes on. I built some trailers to hold them on. But that was all in 72. But it was actually in 73 that I built that stand.
Right.
And went around and sold a few, which is
Yeah.
is that kind of where we got the 73 from?
I think it kind of started in 72, but officially started selling products in 73. And that's the second part that I was going to say. First one was him being hero, bending this steel. But the second one was every product that we were building, motorcycle trailers, fern stands, we're going to talk about all the other products we built for our personal use.
To start with, yeah.
To start with. And those products that we wanted is the very products that we would put on the market that we loved them. Everybody else started loving them. Boom.
Yeah, the story we would always tell was Masterbuilt tried to focus on obviously innovation and quality and all those things, but solving a problem in our life.
Yeah.
And we would make the assumption that it solved other problems in people's lives.
Right.
Which is where we could
Well,
then
the
take
fern
it.
stand really did, because it gave the people something to put these hanging baskets that were so popular back in the 70s and 80s that you see hanging all over people's houses back then. You don't see too much of it today, but back then you did.
Yeah.
But when it turned cold, they had to do something with these things. They can't just leave them outside. They would froze, so they needed stands to put them on. They needed stands that you could water and it still not run out on the floor. So
Right.
that was the idea of the 6-inch ring in the center.
Gotcha.
Put a saucer in the middle.
To put a little cup in there just to catch the water that would run through it. So it all had a purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. In 73, it was people were watering and bringing their fern stands, their ferns inside. In 2026, it's marijuana.
Jeez. And there we go. There we go. So, tell us real quick, where did M&M Welding come from?
Okay. We had built a truckload of fern stands, and I think at that time might even had a few baker's racks, which is something that came on a little later. And I was headed to, I remember, Montgomery, Alabama, and just riding along thinking about how the business had begun to flourish over the last year or two and whatnot. And I had been a salesman practically all my life. So sales didn't bother me. It was the manufacturing is something I'd never been into before. And trying to get into that and learn how to do it and learn how to price it and get it delivered and all, it just got to be a pretty big thing.
Okay.
And I was just right along there thinking about it, and I was talking to the good Lord about that. I said, you know, I got to have some help with this thing. I mean, it had actually gotten to the point with me that I just didn't know that I could do it all.
Mm-hmm.
So I asked him, I said, how about give me a hand with this thing, and if you will, I'll name it after you, and I'll call it Masterbuilt Manufacturing, and that's how the name originated.
Wow.
That's crazy cool.
People love that story.
And M&M Welding was McLemore Welding, right?
Yeah, oh, that's another thing. When we finally did get out of the backyard, I was afraid the neighbors were going to run us off. Our whole backyard was painted black for some reason. We'd build these fern stands, and we would dip them into a 55-gallon barrel full of paint and stand them up, walk up there and set them in the yard. And on the weekends, we'd load them all up, and I'd take them to deliver them. And finally, the business just got to be such that I think we need to get out of the backyard.
Yeah.
This 20 by 30 shed that we had. And it was a shed. It wasn't a building. It was a shed hooked to pieces of tin.
Lean-to.
A lean-to hooked to a house I was renting at the time. But anyway, we moved into a little building down on almost the corner of 2nd Avenue and 29th Street. And the business there again was still extremely well, and we were sitting fern stands everywhere. And a guy walked in the big old doors out from that building one day, and he was standing there looking around, and I asked him, could I help him? And he said, yeah, I'm with the city. We don't see you on the list of having the license. And I said, what do you mean? This is a hobby. He said, that many fern stands is a hobby? You know, of course, he knew what they were. And I said, well, yeah. He said, but you're going to have a license to do what you're doing.
Insert Pawpaw hating the government.
I went down to the license bureau, and he told me where to go. And I asked Lee, I said, I need a pair of license for a business I'm starting. And she said, okay, what do you do? I said, we manufacture these little old fern stands. And she flipped through a book, and she said, okay, manufacturing license or $600 and something. I said, Mama, I ain't got $600. I said, give me something cheaper. And she kept flipping. She said, well, here's a welding shop for $60. I said, I'll take that. So that's how we bought the license.
I've never heard that story.
It's funny.
I've heard the
carried
license
it back
story.
and took a nail and nailed it up on the wall. And so
y'all became a welding company.
she asked me, said, what's the name of it? And I was thinking, well, I don't have a name. She said, well, you got to name it something. I said, well, just name it M&M. I said, that's naming after me and my son.
Yep. There it is.
That's how it came about.
Right there, M&M Welding. That's one of the original
That's
signs.
one of the original
I don't know that I've ever heard
brochure.
that version of the story, that the reason it was M&M Welding, I understand the M&M, but the reason it was welding, I just assumed it was because y'all welded stuff and built stuff, but it was because the license was cheaper.
Licenses were cheaper.
That's amazing.
But anyway, I remember Dad up on the wall, and so, I never saw him again, so he never came back by the check to see if I ever bought him, but
That's funny.
that's how. And then later on, going to Montgomery that day and talking with the good Lord about the business and whatnot.
Yeah.
And I think if he would just, help me out with this thing, we'll just call it Masterbuilt.
Yeah, and it was
Yeah.
built by the master. You're the builder. He's the master, right?
Yeah, well, the
Yeah.
welder, yeah.
And I mean, I think everybody kind of knows that story is indicative of just the Masterbuilt story of how
Right.
it was named. And it's funny because every time we tell that story, even to this day, as just being a McLemore, people still who just haven't heard about it, they're like, that is so cool. It's very blue collar. It's very American. Mm-hmm. Obviously we've always tried to put Christ first in everything we do. We named the company after it. But would you say that Masterbuilt would be, I'm going to say what it is today, or even 10 years ago, or say 1984 when you bought into the business, would it have ever been what it is today without the Lord?
I can say right quick, like, no, I had to have his help.
Yeah.
And we've tried to keep that into the business ever since.
Yep.
Well, even before then, as far as that goes. But, yeah, he had an awful lot to do with it, I can tell you.
Yeah. So I'm going to jump into segment 3, which is our road tales. I want to tell a few stories. I know we're going to kind of hop to 84.
Okay.
When you got into the business, and tell a few stories of the sons being in. I want to kick it off with, who was the first employee?
The first employee.
Yeah.
I hadn't had no employees. I had sons, and they all had to join into the business, and they did the building and this, that, and the other. So employees, I thought more of them as we fed them at night.
Child labor. Yeah.
Yeah, child labor.
And
So can I talk about that for a minute?
yep, that's
Well,
I wanted you
remember
to.
teaching him to weld when he couldn't even walk good. He was like, 7, 8 years old.
Oh yeah, yeah. It
Something
was,
like that.
I made $1 a week,
Yeah.
and the friends that I had in the neighborhood made more money taking the garbage to the street than I did working 40 hours a week in the backyard. So I did this for several years, and I asked him for a raise. You know what you remember what you told me?
I won't repeat.
You said, turn around and bend over, and I will give you a raise. However, the negotiating went well. I went to $1 a day. I
Okay.
got a 500% increase in salary.
Yeah, do the math on that.
Yeah.
Well, because I've always heard the joke that Meemaw was kind of the first employee.
Yeah.
Because she would sit on inside the kitchen and open the windowsill and
Well,
look
when
at
they
that.
started
And she was our
putting
first
the-
quality
yeah.
controller.
Yeah, she was in charge of quality control, but she actually she took a chair and set it in the yard.
Yep.
And we would take the stands out there and set them in front of her, and she'd lean left or right, and the boys would know exactly where to put the foot on the thing and
tweak it
and straighten up the scroll so that the stand set perfectly straight.
Yeah.
So that was her job.
Yeah. And John's referenced Meemaw a couple of times. Meemaw was my mother, obviously your wife, and was the first employee of the company. And
We kind of joked that she was the first employee. I think.
yeah, she was the first employee. Strongest Christian woman that was in my life. I think instilled the values of, Christ and, what it meant to be a Christian. And, it's like when you're super young, you're told to do that. And then the older you get, the more you can rebel against that. But then if it's enrooted and it's embedded in you enough, it comes back, which, kind of
did for you. Yeah.
Definitely saved my life.
Yeah, and the reference to Meemaw was obviously my grandmother, Dad's mom. We lost her in 2011. But so if you hear Meemaw, that's who we're referencing.
Yeah.
But kind of honorary first employee was Meemaw, and then we got the son. So Roadtails, you joined in '84, correct?
Yep.
You were the youngest. I'm going to lay this out.
I joined in '73. I became an owner and joined in '84.
Yep. So he obviously was working for the business for free, and then for $1 a week, and then $1 a day.
We got paid whatever we had left over.
Yeah.
Okay.
What we got paid.
I've never heard that before.
Yeah.
That's a good one. That's a new one. So, as we go into '84, there were 5 kids, right? The oldest was Bubba,
Yep.
Bill, Uncle Don, and Donna, Aunt Donna. Aunt Donna was the only girl of the 5, and Uncle Don and Aunt Donna are twins. And then Dad was the youngest. So in '84, did all 4 sons buy in '84?
No, actually,
3 of us did in '84.
yeah,
Bubba joined later.
yeah, and Bub and Bill wanted to take part of the trailer business that we were building some. Boat trailers and that. Now they can go in business with that, and that's how they left the company.
Gotcha.
And
So they were working for the business from '73
they
on.
just took part of it,
Yeah.
the trailer end of it, and started their own business.
Gotcha.
Yeah, they were-
And am I correct by saying, I'm jumping here, but '97, y'all bought Bill out?
So in '73 we started. '84 we all bought in. '88 Bill got out.
That's right.
'97 Bubba got out. '98 the Ole Man
Yep.
was a silent partner during those years, got 100% out. And then from '98 to 2012, it was just Don and I. So it was like playing Pepper in baseball. You start with 5, then there's 4, then there's 3, then there's 2, then there's 1.
Yep.
So over the years, we had ran the business together. And from 2012 to 98 to 2012, Don and I ran it for 14 years.
And we're
together.
gonna get there.
Okay.
Because I wanna know. I wanna ask later how you ended up becoming president and CEO.
I want to know how I became
So
CEO.
let's go back to '84 to '90-ish. Was it in the '80s when the aluminum don't rust thing happened? Don't tell it yet.
That might have been in the '90s.
Okay, so we're going from '84 to the '90s. The company was growing, and you quit your job in Goodyear Tire Rubber in what year?
in 76.
And went full time with it. So it starts growing. We got fern stands and baker's racks and other products. When did we come out with the fish fryer?
I can tell you why we came out with it. At the exact day, I could guess at. But I remember one thing. Was talking about how the company grew and was growing and this, that, and the other. And I was still working for Goodyear at the time and doing this on the weekends and this, that, and the other. And one day I came in and Boat said, that's what I always call my wife. He said, John, who was my boss. His name just happened to be John also.
Oh my gosh.
Said John's in town and wants to meet you for breakfast and go over some accounts with you. And I said, okay. So the following morning, after breakfast, and he said, I need to go over several things about different accounts and what we expect from him. And so we go up to his room and he opens his briefcase and he pulls out all these folders on each one of my accounts that I took care of in the state of Georgia. And he was laying them out, and he was asking me about this one, and all of a sudden, I said, whatever you tell me, you're going to have to tell somebody else. And he looked at me real funny, and he said, what do you mean? I said, well, I'm going to leave the company. And he said, well, for God's sake, what are you going to do? And I said, come on, I'll show you. And by that time, we had moved out of that little building on 29th Street, and we had moved into a much bigger building further down 2nd Avenue. And when I pulled up there in front of that, and I said, for whatever it looks like or whatever it is, I said, that belongs to me and the boys. And everybody in there must have been pulling an arc and welding at the time because there were sparks everywhere.
Yeah, and they were all 11 and 12 and 13 years old.
And they were all high from all the paint.
That's when I actually left Goodyear Tire Rubber Company, was that day. And then he said, well, how long are you going to give me to get another man for the job? I said, well, a few weeks.
Yeah.
No big deal. Finally, in March, I told him, I said, y'all either going to find somebody to take this job of mine. I said, I'm going to leave this car on the side of the road somewhere because I needed to get busy and do it when I was doing it. So finally, they replaced me, and I went full-time into Masterbuilt.
So full-time into Masterbuilt. The company's growing because the big question is Masterbuilt's it's known for, as we grew into the 2000s and 2010s, is food. Originally we weren't, but the first ever cooker that we built was that fish fryer sitting right next to y'all, right?
It was this one right here.
This was really the first one that we sold. The very first one that you built was round. And it was a big wash tub.
Yeah.
And again, we cooked a lot of fish and did a lot of cooking in the backyard and, deer camp and whatnot. And we wanted to fry fish. So you built it specifically for us.
I actually built it for a guy on a lawnmower.
Traded a snapper lawnmower for
Is that true?
fish. Yep. That's true.
Well, it just, every time that we bought this house, and every time that we got with this guy and the realtor, he was always jumping me about buying his snapper mower. I said, I don't need the mower. I've got a good lawnmower. And even at the closing, he jumped me again about buying it. I said, no, I don't care anything about buying the lawnmower. So finally, he said, I tell you what I'll do. I know you weld. If you just build me a fish cook, I'll just give it to you. And I said, well, okay. So he left the lawnmower. And after, I don't know, a month.
He left me
Yeah.
a lawnmower. Let's be clear.
So we built the first one in John's right. It was round to fit a pot that I had found. But anyway, he walked up to me in a restaurant one night a month or two later after I had given it to him, and it just so happened we was at the same restaurant. He said, that thing is fabulous. It does a great job. And I thanked him and whatnot. He was pleased. And I told Boots, I said, we might build a couple of them things and put them in the truck and just see if we could sell them. And that's how we got in the fish cooker business.
Yeah.
And whatnot. And it really lit a whole new means for us.
Yeah.
So, go ahead, Dan.
Well, I specifically remember when we built this design right here. It's got jet burners in it, so it'll melt lead in like 30 seconds. It had a black metal 4-inch pan on it.
Mm-hmm.
And we would take this sheet of metal and we'd put a template on each corner. We'd scribe it. We'd cut it with a jigsaw. I'm not kidding. And then put it in a brake press and break the ends up. And we started selling them and sold like 8 or 10 a week.
Was that a lot?
For us, it was good.
It was a lot, yeah.
We came out with the aluminum pan, which is the other story you wanted to tell about aluminum don't rust. And we went from 10 a week to 100 a week overnight.
Really?
Because nobody had ever put an aluminum pot on a fryer because they, for whatever reason, didn't think that aluminum was good. It's either stainless steel or cast iron. But it really catapulted us into the fish cooker business.
Is that just because it didn't rust?
It didn't rust. It distributed heat better.
Nobody got the reference.
It was easier, actually easier to
I missed
handle.
it.
So real quick, so I'm going to come back to the square, the rectangle, getting into that. Tell the aluminum don't rust story, because this segment's kind of road tales, and I thought that was just a really funny road tale story of and how that iconic picture got taken of y'all at a booth, the trade show booth.
Yeah, so because the other pans would rust, you had to keep them seasoned with oil, and this one didn't. You could just leave it outside. We come up with this. We took a sheet of aluminum and painted in red and yellow stickers, "Aluminum don't rust."
Absolutely.
And we had every English major in the world
It was funny. People,
telling us
stopped.
that is not proper.
And if you
That's
don't
not proper
understand
English.
if you don't
what?
if you don't understand, we'll show the picture on screen. If you don't understand why aluminum don't rust is an issue, you're in the same category. You're also illiterate.
Yeah, and I asked the lady, I said, "What do you mean? That's improper?" She said, "Well, break it down. You don't say aluminum do not rust." I said, "No." I said, "It says don't." She said, "That's
It's
wrong."
wrong.
funny.
I think this might have been the same group that came by that was correcting our grammar and said, "The other thing that y'all need to be aware of is aluminum causes Alzheimer's." And I was like, "Oh my goodness. We had a meeting about that this morning and I forgot to go."
And Pawpaw's 89th.
That's not funny.
Pawpaw's celebrating his 89th birthday,
Still eating fish out of aluminum.
Yeah.
and he's probably looking back on them going, I'm 89. I still remember that story.
That's right.
So, do you remember what trade show that was?
It was,
Or what year?
I don't remember the year, but it was in Atlanta at the World Congress Center at a really big
That happened. Yeah,
trade
but
show.
we were selling them prior to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't remember exactly what.
We were just dumb enough to go to these trade shows, pull a pickup truck into the area, unload our stuff. Everybody else was paying the union to do it. We were like, wow, we just did it ourselves. And I would pull out a 20-pound propane cylinder inside the World Congress Center and turn the jets on this thing. And the Barneys of the World Congress Center come out of the woodwork saying, "Y'all can't do that in here." So we had to take the propane bottle out.
Wow. So,
It's amazing the heat that this thing would produce.
Oh, it's amazing.
We tested it by putting a gallon of water in that pan and timing it. From the time you turn it on, in exactly 3 minutes, it would boil that water.
Boil that water.
Good Lord.
So what you was after there was not water. You was after what you could do with grease without causing it to flame up and catch a fire and this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
So consequently, we knew where, the time element was and how much heat and how much pressure to apply to the burner and this, that, and the other to keep it in a safe realm.
And the stories on building these things, we would cut the angle iron. We'd go to a fence company and buy pipe, thread it by hand. We take a number 57 drill bit and drill 2 little pilot holes in that pipe.
That's what it took to work it out
Yeah.
and make it burn.
And then fence pipe, we'd cut it 3 inches long, welded on top of that, and really created the jet burners. And it was a double jet burner.
Yeah.
Don't let me forget, I have a story about the jet burners
Okay.
as I was maybe 18 or 19 when I was traveling selling these things.
So
You
Not
remember
gonna
that?
tell that.
I'm going to tell it.
you're not going to tell it?
I am going to tell it.
So you're 18 and 84?
I am 18. I graduated
18
in
years old.
83, 17 or 18. So, yeah, I was 18 in 84.
And you go full-time Masterbuilt. After you get kicked out of school, or barely graduated, but get kicked out, told to go
No,
home.
I got kicked out in the 9th grade. I just went back in the 10th grade and graduated in the 12th grade.
So you got sent home a couple times because your eyes were bloodshot red.
I got sent home because they
thought you were smoking weed.
They thought I was high.
The teacher came by and he was drawing. Is what it was. It was supposed to. They were supposed to have been, what I understand, like a.
I was a gate. I was drawing a
time
gate.
to read or something to yourself, but John was drawing, and the teacher come by and said, "You know, you are just cutting the food. You're supposed to be studying." And he said, "Well, I am." And she said, "What is this?" And said, "I'm drawing off a fence, and this is going to be the gate, and this is the scroll work up on top of it." Say, we not only did this, we built ornamental iron stuff around people's pools and this, that, and other, and porches. We built a lot of ornamental iron. That was just another
Anybody
place.
that would pay.
Anybody that would pay. Burglar
that would make money.
bars were
Well, I
very
just
popular.
put John in charge of it because, you know, he could draw, so he'd lay it out. We would build it in the floor and take it and install it around these pools and whatnot. But John was actually drawing this thing off so he could take it back and lay it out that afternoon and build it. And anyway, they sent you to the office, didn't they?
Sent me to the office for piddling, just
Yeah.
wasting time and drawing, and my eyes were bloodshot. So
Yeah,
she
he's
said,
been. I was teaching him how to weld. He forget to knock his hood down sometime. And you don't do that, but a few times you're going to have bloodshot eyes.
Yeah.
But anyway, the principals just kind of patted you on the back and sent you back to the school, to
Yeah.
the class, didn't you?
Yeah, Mr. Orr and Mr. Obleton.
Yeah.
One was a principal, one was the other work program teacher. And they kind of knew a little bit about our family business and knew that I wasn't necessarily just wasting time and being sorry. The teacher obviously didn't. So she sends me to the office, and when I'm sitting in there, they're like, "Well, we're going to send you home." I was like, "Great." I'm not arguing. Can I leave now? And then the two came by, specifically Mr. Orr came by, and he's like, "What are you doing in here?" I was like, "Well, they think I'm smoking marijuana and my eyes are bloodshot from welding." He said, "Go back to class."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And so you did graduate, thanks to Cynthia, correct? Because didn't Cynthia teach all y'all?
Cynthia was probably the reason I was drawing the gates, because she was my
and
art teacher in the 7th or 8th grade.
And for
at Arnold,
for clarification,
middle school.
we lost Meemaw in 2011. Pawpaw remarried Cynthia, and we love her and adore her so much. And come to find out, Cynthia had taught a few of you guys.
Which is very surprising to me that she came back. It's like, what?
After knowing you in school, yeah.
Oh my goodness. But
So, all right. So, getting back to Road Tales, you guys go to the trade show. Aluminum don't rust.
Yeah.
You go from selling 8 to 10 a week to 100 plus a week. And tell us, in '88,
yeah.
you became CEO.
So I was 18 when I bought in part of the company.
And didn't you
And-
partially retire?
So
Do what?
in 84, he semi-retired.
84, you semi-retired.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then stayed as kind of a silent partner and being involved, obviously, with the finances of the company and still owning 20%, still being the old man. So everybody obviously respected the, who's really in charge. And so as the company's growing, I'm at the time, if I remember right, I was 21. So that would have been maybe 87.
Okay.
We're all having a conversation about who's actually really in charge. And the old man's like, well, I'll be in charge, and we don't necessarily need a president and a CEO, and that's all nonsense. Y'all go back to work. And I was like, oh man, I hear you, but we're now getting to the point that the banks are wanting to know these things. We got to have more of an official. So we all kind of sat down and we're like, well, who really wants to be president and or CEO?
I knew who was going to be.
I was the dumbest one to take the job.
And why did you know?
That's not so. No, I saw early on that John would be the one to turn the reins over to. I really did. I mean, he just the stamina that he had and the interest he had in the company and whatnot. Oh, I could see that's where it needed to go. So we did. We turned it over to him.
Well, I appreciate that.
And 88.
88, Bill
got out.
Yep. So we go from 5 owners, only 20% each, to 4, only 25% each.
Yeah.
And then once Bill moves on from 88 to 97, so we go 9 more years running it. Basically me, Don, and Bubba, my oldest brother. And in 97, Bubba decides to move on, and he and Bill then officially get into the trailer business together and sold trailers. That was a division of Masterbuilt. And as we were growing and selling the fish cookers and baker tracks and furnace stands and, later all the other products that we had as the Masterbuilt brand, trailers just were not something that we could distribute, and we wanted to get broader outside of just the 3-state area that we were in. Mm-hmm. And trailers were a great fit for Bill and Bubba, and Don and I stayed. And then a year later, in 98, the old man's like, look, guys, I'll sell you the real estate, because he still owned the real estate. I'll sell you my 33% of the business if you guys can finance this thing without me, because he still had his name on the books and obviously if anything went south with the company, he was on the hook for it.
Yep.
So he said, if y'all can do this thing on your own, go find your own bank and money, then you guys can do it. Do you remember Al Hayes?
Oh, very much so.
I saw Al Hayes the other night when we were at Green Island at that little function.
Yeah.
And he and I reminisced about the Colonial Bank days, because back then, so this is 97. How old would I have been in 97? 34?
I was 5.
You were 5, so I don't know. Whatever I was in my 30s. And we went
Hey, I'm in my 30s.
You are in your 30s. So now you can go to all of the banks and get money for the McLemore Boys.
I am currently.
We went to every bank, every loan shark, every backyard lender, every person that we could go to borrow money. And Al Hayes with Colonial Bank said, I'll give you boys a line of credit and set you up to run this thing, and y'all, we can handle everything y'all can do and grow. So we signed the deal with them, signed up to buy the third from the Ole Man and the building. Then Don and I owned it 50-50, which we'll talk about Don here in a little bit. And I'll never forget going from that point to where we're like, okay, now we're trying to go to a different level. And we had always wanted to grow the company, but we were actually realizing, okay, we can go from, by then we went from 3 states to probably maybe the Southeast, maybe 10 states, and traveling in our trucks to where we can actually multiply this thing, go nationwide, start to get into some larger accounts that could put us out there on the map. And because of Colonial Bank and Al Hayes giving us that chance, we rode that wave for a while, and it was so fun and so successful that Al sat us down one day and he's like, guys, we can't go to the next level with you guys. You're going to have to change banks. So by then we changed to Wachovia Bank.
Yeah, I remember that.
With some success that we had in the company, we had some other banks that were actually
which was later bought out by Wells.
That was later bought out by Wells Fargo, which we're still bank with today. And as we were growing the company, I learned that when you don't need money, everybody will give you money. When you need money, people don't trust you to give you money, which is a little bizarre, but that's just the reality in banking. And I can tell you, over 50 years in my career, the number one thing that will bring a company down is cash flow and not being able to pay your bills. A lot of times it's not that you're not profitable. And it is sad that so many people struggle through that because they got really great ideas, great products, good teams, but they just don't have the ability to cash flow the company. Yeah. And I don't know that there was ever a year that was never a pressure point in our business because you can't grow without taking some of those risks. And I think I might have been a little more of a risk taker.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Hey, Pawpaw, was Dad a bigger risk taker than you?
By far.
Yeah. So, final thing, and then we're going to jump to the last section. How much did you sell the business to Uncle Don and Dad for? Do you remember?
$1, I think it was.
$1? Five? Was it five?
$5,000.
No, that was in. In '98.
We're not going to give that number. That's too private.
Because where I was going with that is, y'all had that on a 25-year, 30-year payout or something.
Yep.
And he said, "You can't ever pay me off early, right? You wanted to be paid." And I think up until the late...
It was a 20-year deal.
Was it 20-year deal? 20-year deal. 20 years. And I remember when we were getting into a new building at Masterbuilt, Dad's like, I got like 5 more payments and Pawpaw was paid off. This is like in 2014, 15, 16 or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
That was 2008.
It'd be 2008. Yeah, that's right. It was when we were buying...
Was it?
No, it had been 2018. Duh, we're dumb at math.
18.
It was 18.
98, 2008, 2018.
Yeah.
Wow.
So we are going to jump into our last section because we want you to come back for part 2 for a few more stories. We're going to talk about Uncle Don. We're going to talk about 2 tragedies we had in the business with some fires, which, have some funny stories.
We had way more than 2 tragedies. That's just 2 that we're going to talk about.
Yeah. So we've got some great
ones.
We've got some great stories. So make sure you come back for part 2 to kind of finish out, some of those stories about Masterbuilt. But we are going to jump into segment 4, Freedom Flavor of the Week. I wanted to ask. I'm going to put you on the spot here, Pawpaw, because I didn't prep you for this question. If you had to say, this is the recipe that I want, like, what's your favorite recipe?
I don't think I quite understand.
What would you say?
To cook?
Yeah, what would you say is like your go-to?
I know.
You mean real recipe?
Yeah,
like not recipe for success
for the company.
Well, I'm gonna get to that in a second on some business.
Fried fish.
That's exactly what it is.
Fish.
Yeah.
Man can fry fried fish better than Captain D's. I'm telling you.
And hush puppies too, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I'm one of the few guys that cooks, I guess you say, that actually fry the fish and cook the hush puppies all at the same time.
Yeah.
It's a trick to doing it, but that's the way I've always done it.
Okay.
And when there's hush puppies made when they're made right, and you drop them in the hot grease at about 325, and when they come up, they'll automatically roll over.
Roll over.
That's because of the water has gone to the bottom and makes it come to the top. But anyway, then you just take those up and take the fish up all at the same time.
Yeah.
So fish, you'd fry fish. That's your go-to.
100%.
Oh, I love to fry fish.
Yeah, we've had some good deer camp stories told over some fried fish too. So
I remember the deer camp story where we're cooking stew, and we had a little spotlight on the corner of this little shed building, and the flies and the moths were so heavy they would fall in the stew.
That was on a camp. That was on a sandbar.
Was it Blake Blackshear somewhere?
No, it was. We were camped on a sandbar below Bainbridge, Georgia, because Lake Seminole makes up, and below that is the Apalachicola River. And I had launched the boat and found a beautiful sandbar, and I just threw out all the tent stuff and then went back and got y'all, and that's where we were camped on the sandbar.
Yeah.
And we were actually, I was making a dish of salmon with eggs.
Yeah.
You could, I don't know.
Oh, it's in the cookbook.
Yeah.
Oh, that is in the cookbook.
That's in the cookbook.
Yeah,
It's wrapped in tinfoil.
Actually, you take a couple of cans of salmon, depending on how many people you got, and spread it out in the skillet and get it to a certain temperature, and you crack about a dozen eggs on top of it and whatnot. Well, it happened to be mayfly season when they all hatch out. Well, about 10 million of them saw that lantern that I had standing up there on a pole to see by, and here they come, and they just all come and just swarmed around that light, and what started with when they fall in there, I'd kind of dip them out and find out. I just got wild, just stirred them up in there.
It was like it was more protein.
Yeah, I remember Bill. He was over there eating, and he'd pick out the
That's awesome. Well, as a part of our Freedom Flavor of the Week segment, we always highlight a hero of the week. These are first responders, people who serve active duty, veterans, firefighters, anybody, teachers. But we felt that it was indicative, of our first guest to actually give this one to Meemaw, because I think Meemaw was so instrumental not only in our personal lives but in Masterbuilt's story.
He was the cornerstone.
Yeah. So
question.
our hero of the week goes to Meemaw. We love you. R.I.P. 2011. We do miss you.
Yeah.
So we're really excited about that. We do have part 2 of Pawpaw coming up. We're about to wrap up this segment and jump into part 2 later. So you guys got to make sure you follow for part 2. All right, our wrap up. I wanted to jump back to the question that I asked you, and I'll kind of ask it the same way. Recipe for success. What would you say is a piece of advice for those out there as a business owner, former business owner, entrepreneur, inventor, builder of things, master of things? What would you say is some business advice?
Without the good Lord, you won't never succeed, really, without His help. That's the number one thing.
Okay.
The number 2 thing, you got to have good help, and I did was raising my own youngins and put them to work in the backyard. And somebody asked me sometime, what did you buy your kids? And I said, I bought them a welder.
Well, I bought Tanya a forklift
There you go.
Yeah.
for an anniversary present.
And you put them to work. I love that.
Work.
That's great.
Dad, you got any business advice?
I mean, obviously, having just a good solid foundation. I mean, no question, you got to have God at the center of everything you do. But I will echo what the old man is saying. Is I don't believe in success stories of just one person being successful on their own.
Yeah, you got to
I
have
think
good help.
you got to have a team of people. You got to have that you can trust. You got to have people in the room that are smarter than you, because if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. And I think if you can pull all of that together and just manage that and not be afraid of having somebody else tell you things that will help you be successful,
Yep.
I would say the team is critical.
Yeah, very much so.
We're about to wrap up. I want to wrap up with, we always give a Bible verse.
Is that mine?
Dad, you got yours?
I do. Now we're going to see if I can get to it.
Control your iPad. Pawpaw, do you have a favorite Bible verse? I'm putting you on the
It would
spot.
be the Lord's Prayer.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Yeah.
Lord's Prayer. Dad, what's yours?
All right. So I have obviously a lot. I said in our first one it was Philippians 4:13, because obviously we can't do it. We got to have Christ to strengthen us. But 1 Corinthians 3:10 describes Paul as a wise master builder who laid the foundation. There you go, built by the master. That was our prayer partners right there. Foundation, Jesus Christ for the church, and warns others to be careful how they build upon it with materials like gold, silver, wood, hay, straw, because each person's work will be tested by fire to reveal its quality. And this is metaphor for Christian ministry, for life, emphasizing that building on a solid foundation is lasting, it's valuable, it's spiritual, and it is not temporary. So we've been saying that, and for me, in my marriage, my kids, my friendship, and absolutely in my entire career, our core value at Masterbuilt was always faith-driven. It was basically making sure that was first and everything else, would come second. And for us in the McLemore Boys, it's basically number one core value is faith. And for us, that is the most important thing.
Yep.
So
Faith, family, food, fun, freedom. That's our 5 core values. So we're going to wrap up. We are going to hope you join us for part 2. Pawpaw,
high five. Boom.
our first ever guest on What's Cooking with the McLemore Boys. Final parting words, Pawpaw. Do you have anything to say?
Well, appreciate you asking me.
Yeah.
We love you. You're an inspiration to all of us.
Stay
I can't
tuned.
Wait for the internet to just soak you up. The internet's gonna love you.
Man, MySpace is going to go crazy.
Oh my goodness
And we're
gracious!
faxing all of our friends to check their beepers.
Well, guys, thank you. This has been another episode of What's Cooking with the McLemore Boys. This was
go.
part 1 with the Ole Man, the original McLemore Boy, the founder of Masterbuilt. Thank you for being here. Dad, great job. Good storytelling.
You too.
Your host, John McLemore II. We love you guys. Stay tuned for part 2. That's coming up in our next episode. We're excited. We're going to jump into some more stories with Pawpaw. Talk about Uncle Don. We got some other exciting things we're going to jump into. So, guys, stay tuned. Thank you for watching and listening. We'll see y'all next time. Last thing, actually. Pawpaw, I want you to take us out. If you could say real clearly into the mic, from our table to yours, God bless.
From our table to yours, God bless.
See y'all next time. Yeah.